Welcome back to Walk with TFB. Tim Bryson here, and as y'all know, I'm a Black millennial who's eager to have unfiltered conversation with authentic people centered on education, sport, and culture. Today, we are walking with a college athlete advocate, academic leader, and proud dad. A California native, our guest was a standout high school football athlete, ranking as one of the top running backs in his class. His athletic prowess and commitment to academics led him to Cal Berkeley, where he competed as a college athlete for 2 years before transferring to the University of New Mexico. While in New Mexico, he played football and pledged Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, en route to earning his bachelor's degree in communication and journalism. After working in news for a couple of years, he returned to UNM and earned his master's degree in sport administration. Our guest has meaningful experience across many different areas in higher education. He's a former coach, graduate student leader, and current academic counselor and student athlete development coordinator at the University of New Orleans. Coupled with his life journey and belief in the power of education, in 2020, he partnered with New Mexico's African American Student Services Office to start a scholarship that would provide financial assistance to undergrad students at the institution. Since its inception, he has awarded more than $2,000 in scholarship money. This man is all about impact, but more importantly, he is strong, he is able, and he is himself. And he is learning how to invest in himself while also sharing it with others. So without further ado, y'all help me welcome Trajuan Briggs. TB.
What's goody, man? Hey, man. You 11 out of 10 on the introductions, bro.
You know what I'm saying? It take a minute. I found your Medium page. I was like, let me go ahead and read through this real quick. Let me go ahead and read these 3-minute, 4-minute articles. I'm gonna pull some other stuff out later. You already know, but how you doing, bro? I know it's been a long day. I'm glad we finally it's been a long 24 hours, to be honest. Last 48, man. Wow.
Yeah, bro. It's been a long day. Nonetheless, I've been looking forward to this since early since we first got on, since I got the Let's Walk, I ain't got my Asics on. I did tell y'all about the Asics. I do got the Air Jordan 1s though, so we rocking with these,
Don't you inspire?
Gonna pull the full size 13 in there, but man, I'm blessed. I'm good. I'm excited about this conversation, boy.
No, I am too, dog. And like I said, I will say the last 48 have been wild between everything we talked about before we got on the call. But it's going to be a great conversation. You've been a loyal listener. You've been a loyal community member with Walk with TFB. And so you know how previous conversations have gone, which I believe will add some context to the conversation we're going to have today as we get deeper into your story, but also the trending topics. But first things first, man, and I messed up last episode and I asked it a little bit later. Why didn't I mess up? It's our shit. But first things first, what's bringing you joy right now?
Man, what's bringing me joy right now? I'll probably say there's multiple things bringing me joy right now. If we keeping it a buck, I think one of the first things is, my son, just seeing him grow and develop and be the person that he is, and just he's just this dope little human being, bro. If anybody follows me and knows, I have no problem posting him and some of the theatrics that my guy has. This year brought me a lot of smiles because it was the first year that he was able to compete and play in sports. And just seeing him, I'm thinking I'm about to be Kumo D out there, the cool dad with the Bluetooth, the Kango, and the Nike Tech suit, and just be chilling. But no, bro, I'm over there volunteering when I'm in town. I'm over there. Hey, come on, let's go. I'm clapping the other kids' hands. Bro, I caught myself out here giving goodie bags and stuff. Yes, bro. Caught myself up at the store. Let me get these Capri Suns.
Did you cut the oranges?
I didn't cut the oranges because, the pandemic. So
fair.
At least put them in the fridge so they be nice and cold after. My parents was like, oh my gosh, Isaiah, dad thoughtful. He can do this every week. And I'm like, no, this is just, I ain't been here for a little bit. So this is just what it is. But of course, man, he brings me a lot of joy. And then I would just say, man, just right now working with our students, seeing them, get through what we're currently going through in a pandemic, but also just the Hurricane Ida here, seeing how that was second week of school. I think we was only in school for a week and a half before that hit. and really seeing them being able to bounce back in final season being here and gone. Yesterday was the last day, so blessings. But those are like my top two right now. Really just seeing growth. I'm really happy, and was really giving me joy seeing these young cats and myself, friends, my son, just everybody right now, just going through their phases and process of growth. Like that is what's bringing me joy, because they get to see it, they get to experience it, and then you see what they do after that. And it's like, that's pretty dope just seeing that on the other side. So yeah, bro, that was my top two.
No, I'm glad you shared that, yo. And I honestly forgot about the hurricane. That was this semester.
Yeah, August 27, bro.
I told somebody the other day, I said, this 2020, yeah, this year, I feel like it's flown by. But if you remember that first, 9 days, first 10 days, that was when the insurrection at the Capitol happened.
Dang.
That was this year.
Dang. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, bro.
That was this year.
Because the election was 2020. Yeah, that was this year.
This has felt like the fastest but slowest. And I don't know if it's been like fall semester or something, but I felt like the last 2.5 quarters of 2021 have sort of just dragged their feet. Like we inch in there, because if you put that, you're putting that in perspective for me. I'm just like, nah, bro. Like I didn't even think that was a January. I forgot that was January 6th.
Yeah.
Now you about to have that on my head.
Yeah. I remember we was all like 2020 over. Who can he get through a whole week in January? Like, oh, here we go.
Right. 2021 said, hold on, hold my Budweiser.
Hold on, man. We drink better beer than that. We drink at least the IPA, the stout, something, not the Budweiser at that.
I don't think there was IPAs there, but it's all good. It's all good,
homie. But check this out, man. Like I said, reading and really doing research on you, but especially reading your Medium website. You're a really good writer, number one. Let me make sure I say that on the record. But two, your story in different pieces, whether it's a scholarship piece, the football piece about, it's not just a game, things your mama told. Your story has been pieced together on the internet in many different ways on different platforms. But hearing it from yourself, what's your story?
Yeah, man. I think that was a question that I really thought about. Like, how do I give a short answer? Do I give a long answer? Do I give a good little in-betweener? I think the sum of my story is embracing the process. Like, I think at the end of the day, I carry embracing the process so hard and on my sleeve, because I really don't know what the result is going to look like. I don't know what hat I'm going to wear when it's all said and done. And to be honest with you, I don't know when it's going to all be said and done. So right now, I would say that my story is really about embracing the process. And I mean, that's coming up from, just as a child, with it, some of the hardships that, myself, my mother, my family had. It was always just a having to learn how to adapt and sort of understand, like, okay, this is the situation we're in. How do we make this work? Not how are we going to make it work, or how did we get here? We're here. So how do we make this work? So it didn't matter, man, whether it was us, time to time living with my grandmother and being around my grandfather all the time, to, we got to take 2-3 buses across city just so she can get to work by 7 and I can get to school, ahead of time. We've always, sort of figured it out. My mother, I give her all that credit. Is like, you somehow, some way, every single time you figured it out. And we didn't necessarily have to have those conversations. I think that I was able just to see it, and learn from those experiences. So when it came to, me being, quote unquote, the man of the house, it really taught me, and I didn't have a father figure really in the house. So a lot of it was really based off of, okay, well, how does my grandfather treat me? How is my uncle, when it comes to, our relationship? The number one quote of stay in a child's place. It was hard for me to stay in a child's place, because at the same time, I felt like I had more pressure put on me to do more than what a child had to do. So it was just really about embracing the process, trying to understand things, trying to understand how did we get here, and sort of where are we going? And then eventually growing up to just be like, okay, this is how it goes. So I think that high school, was like a real critical time for me, because I was trying to figure things out. I didn't know that I really liked sports. I just knew I was competitive. I just knew that I was competitive and I wanted to try hard. You know, as a kid, when people asked me who did I want to be, I only had two answers. It was either Bill Pickett, the famous, rodeo star, or it was going to be Emmitt Smith. Like those were just my two guys, and I'm not a Cowboys fan whatsoever, but I just loved the Deuce at the time, which is crazy because I'm, as the bros now, I'm a Deuce. So it's always just been, figuring out where and how am I trying to get to where I'm going to go, and I think high school played a very big piece in that. That was football at a higher level. I was interested in journalism. Like I didn't even know what journalism was. I just knew that I loved writing. I didn't really have a good hand for art at all. So it was just like public speaking, it wasn't really my thing. So I just wanted to write. I always wanted to be a person behind the scenes. And I think that playing football, in a way, allowed me to sort of cover my identity and things that I was struggling with and the processes that I was trying to embrace because I had a helmet on. And behind that helmet, behind that shield, behind those pads, you feel protected and you feel like I'm not known as Trajuan, the kid that is from Pacoima, California, that, lives with his grandparents and doesn't have a bed or anything. I'm known as, one of the top running back prospects in the country. Nobody else knows what's going on behind these pads, behind these walls. So I felt like when I attended high school and going throughout high school, I was trying to figure out who I was. And I think that sort of led into getting into different, activities and actually trying. I can honestly say that high school, I actually started putting forth effort in everything that I did, sports, friendships, relationships, just everything, just try to have some type of good intentions. That was the thing. I didn't know what the impact was going to be. It's just good intentions. And that really led into my college career and starting to understand, who am I? Who am I? I broke my leg my senior year. And that was like I always said, like, dang, I don't even have the grades to go to a Division I college. Like if everybody drops me right now, I will not be able to go. And I think the toughest part about, like I said, embracing the process and not knowing the result was, I remember I was an early admit for college. And I was originally committed to USC. And I'll never forget, maybe 3 weeks before I was getting ready to go off to school, I was recovering from a leg injury. I got a phone call from somebody at the New York Times. And, I'm 17 years old. I'm just answering the phone. And they was like, is this Trajuan Briggs from Birmingham High School running back? And I was like, yeah. And they was like, this is such and such from the New York Times. How are you? I was like, I'm doing good. How are you? And they were just like, yeah, I'm doing fine. Just wanted to see, do you have any thoughts about Pete Carroll leaving USC to go to the Seattle Seahawks and become the NFL coach there? And I'm just like, wait, come again? Like, hold on. I just saw this man a week ago. What are you talking about? Like, I signed, I'm going here. And that's how I found out that I wasn't going to USC anymore. And it was just like, okay, what do I do? Like, I got a broken leg. I thought I had a school that, a coach that I could trust and was going to be there. USC was only 30 minutes away from the crib. So I'm just like, I'm home, I'm near my folks. And just like that, in the matter of a week and a half, I'm going to Cal Berkeley, and staying and really went there because the coach never flipped the script on me. He never changed. Even when I committed, Coach Ron Gould still stayed there, still talked to me, everything, didn't pressure me, was talking to me about church, my injury, everything. But when it happened, that's when I knew, like, okay, so 30 minutes turned to 6 hours. My mother was not happy about that because, baby leaving the nest and her child or the man of the house is leaving. So, she may or may not have, went up to Berkeley with me when I moved in.
Yeah.
So it was tough for us. So, got up to Berkeley, had 2 years, injuries, the transition. My first day of school, I got lost in Oakland. Mind you, I lived in the dorms, but this was like my first time taking the bus by myself in uncharted territory. So a coach had to come pick me up from the bus stop in Oakland. And I mean, I'm in Oakland, bruh. Like Cal Berkeley sweatshirt. It's probably like 9 a.m. I didn't miss my first class. And, he picked me up, started laughing. And he was like, young man, he was like, I'm going to tell you this right now. You're going to have to understand how to adapt and what it's going to take to succeed. He was like, you got to be on your P's and Q's. He was like, I don't care what it's going to take. I don't care how you make it happen, But if you are really trying to find success, especially at this level, you have to make things happen yourself. And he was like, you just got to embrace that. And I think hearing that at 17 years old, that stuck with me forever. Like, no matter how it happens, how do I make it happen? If I sit there and I say, I'm gonna find a way, I'm gonna figure it out, it might sound like little words, but it's just like, nah, we're really gonna find a way. I'm really about to figure this out, and I'm about to donate all my time, affection, patience, and love to this. So that's really what changed up a lot of me at Cal, and going through those injuries and starting to understand that college football is a business. I don't care what anybody says. It is a business. College athletics overall is a business. I will point blank, period. When I transferred, it wasn't hard for me to transfer because, you know, for me, for the most part, I didn't go to USC or I wasn't going to Cal because of a coach. I was going because of a school. And it took me some time to really understand that. But when I was being able to walk away and I was to go to a place like New Mexico, I knew I wasn't going because of a coach, because I didn't even meet the head coach. I took a 2-day visit and then came back home, packed my bags. And the following Monday, I was starting summer school. And it was over the summer, bruh. So nobody was there. So I didn't meet no teammates, nothing. Like, it was just my god brother. He was going to New Mexico as a freshman. My godmom was like, well, you know, how about you just come to New Mexico? You know, your god brother will, you know, be there and stuff. You got family there because your god brother, and we'll make it happen. And I was just like, all right. So did summer school there. I think I took a day and a half visit. Bro. Didn't meet nobody but the director of football operations. I didn't even meet my position coach. And I started right there. Like, you know, I even had my coach at the time from Cal hit me up, and he was just like, hey, would you like to come back and do a summer class? You know, need help? And I ended up finding out it was because of APR. And I was just like, nah, like, I'm going to New Mexico. And he was like, well, how? You know, who put you in contact over there? So I gave him the rundown, and he was just like, oh, so just that fast, huh? So he was under the assumptions that I was already talking to them. That's how fast it happened. So, I mean, throughout all of those life, and we'll talk more about it later on, but those were some critical early moments that I was just like, all right, I really don't know what this process is about to look like. I don't know what it's about to be. I've only heard about Albuquerque, New Mexico on, I think, like Family Guy or The Simpsons at the time.
Whoa.
I've never even heard of Albuquerque, New Mexico, never been, dog. And it was just like, we just gonna figure it out. What's the cards being dealt? And that was my whole mindset at 17 to even sometimes today is I'll adapt. Like, I prided myself off of being able to adapt, which was just like a whole learning curve. But yeah, man, that's a little bit of the story of what's my story, but it plays into such, you know, monumental moments in the rest of my life and how I am today.
I appreciate you sharing, obviously part of it.
Yeah.
I definitely want to reaffirm and validate you even sharing about your financial struggles, because that's something that a lot of college students, I think more people than we think, face and are challenged with. But we don't talk about it the same way we're beginning to now talk about mental health. Right. As far as like financial insecurity, not being able to pay for food, pay for the bus, the damn metro, like that's something that even recently I've been talking about this more lately too. It's like, how do we begin to introduce this conversation, but also introduce opportunities for change and for action to address financial insecurity, especially for athletes who are in a system that is revenue driven. But you mentioned that was part of your story that led to some monumental moments later in life. And I'm not going to move to segment 2 without you talking more about your son and fatherhood. So talk to us more about, like, what is it like to be a dad, bro? For those who are aspiring and or other dads out there, like, talk to us.
Yeah, man. So, bro, let me tell you, I was so head ass before my son was born.
I remember you told me this shit, bro.
Head ass. So, like, at the time I was coaching. I was a graduate assistant at the University of New Mexico. I was an outside linebacker coach, and making that whopping $12,600 right on the spot. And you know, going to school, doing all these things and all this great stuff. And you know, when I found out that I was going to be a dad, that's when the 10th coach position opened up. And that's when they were allowing, you know, okay, you can add a 10th coach on the staff, fully paid. You know, and you've seen what it creates now. You got all different positions that come in the name of a 10th coach. And I was looking at, okay, well, I'm gonna either be a linebacker or outside linebacker coach. But during the time, man, that was like the most storied part of my life was 2016, 2017, because I had graduated in 2014. Remember graduating and like did not turn back. Like as soon as I got my degree, got in the car, got in my 99 Dodge Neon, silver little bullet, and drove all the way back to Los Angeles, which was a 12-hour drive in this small car. When I got the opportunity to come back as a GA, my linebacker coach at the time, it's crazy how life works. I was actually a writer at USC, doing sports journalism. And my defensive coordinator at Cal was at USC. So then, the person that literally hired me for the job, he was doing all of USC's writing for Rivals, and he remembered me. Like he was like, "On, like you literally was committed here." I remember doing interviews. Hey, if you can write up this write up, let's see what we can do. And that's how it came up. Like I showed him my blog that my senior capstone was on, where I was just writing on different sports stories every week and literally getting those torn and shredded by my communication teacher and my journalism teacher. And she was just like, "What the heck is this? Like, this is poo cheese. Like, this is whack. Like, this is boring." I stopped after this. So I just started improving, and finally got my chance. So I got to cover USC volleyball, USC football. I got to cover the Pac-12 championships, football and track. Like I got to do so many amazing things in that little period of time while being a high school coach and working at Verizon. Was one of the worst sales reps ever, but my relationships and like conflict resolution was top 5 in the region. So they didn't fire me. But other than that, could not sell a jetpack worth a damn. But got to coach football. I got to coach football, man. And like, I'm working with these dudes that were 2 years under me. So, I'm conflicted because it's like, damn, I got to scream at you from a coach perspective. And they looking at me like, damn, I got to listen to you from a coach perspective. But I created those relationships when we were playing together. So genuine, they knew where it was coming from. It wasn't, Trajuan trying to flip the script on me. Let me try him one time. Like, it was really on some like big bro type stuff. That helped me tremendously. I mean, it was 18-hour days. It was tough. Like, it was tough, bro. That's the most I could say. It was like the most toughest times of my life. And when I finally found out that I was going to be a father, I was going through a moment where I was just like, I love coaching, but I want to do more. Like, it's not about the money. I see how I can impact these kids outside of this, but how can I do something and stay close to sports, specifically football? And I just started writing and was just like, it was like I was almost looking for a reason to get out of the game. And I remember one time telling my strength coach, like, "Hey man, I really think I'm done with this." And he was just like, "Boy, all you know is football. You're not done." And that right there, like, triggered me. Like, I still remember, bro, we was in period 14 of a 22 period practice. And when he said that, I was just like, oh, like, they think that my identity is strictly only this. Like, they think that I cannot do anything else outside of this. And I took that personal. Like, it was really just like, oh, let me show you. And then the second wake-up call was when I actually saw one of my coaches have twins. And he came back to practice after they were born. The same day, my G. And everybody's like, why? Like we're as students, and I'm a G. I'm like, bro, coach, why are you here? He was like, oh, her mama at the hospital with her. The babies are good. We got game day. We got a 5-game winning streak. Like, and that right there for me was like, oh, no, because I know your wife. That's not happening. Like, no. So that was really like my motivation of like, yeah, I gotta figure out a way to get out of here. And ended up finding out I was having a kid, and I was the most nervous wreck ever. But the way that I game planned for it was as if I was actually game planning for a game. So, it was me. I bought the notebook, put Isaiah's playbook 1-on-1. I'm putting down the children's sizes. When do they need their T-tap shots, all these different shots, all these different immunizations. Bruh, I'm putting, what does the fetus look like? Like, I'm checking all this stuff. I'm reading books, dog. Like, I've at this point donated my time from being linebacker coach to being dad coach. Like, I'm coaching myself to be a father. And fast forward, I just figured out like, man, I want to be there for my son. And football's not happening. 18 hours a day, it's not happening. This is super. So I transitioned out. That's how I became, chief of staff and graduate professional student association. But when I became dad, bro, to answer your question, it was like, it's the most unreal feeling in the world. Like, it took me, to be honest with you, dog, it took me a year and a half to be able to describe the feeling. Like, and I sometimes still can't find the words for it, but it was the biggest blessing. Like, because of my son, and I'm open to say it, because of my son, I go to therapy. I might hate it because sometimes I get told how it is, but I'll never forget, man. And this is why it's so essential to have real people in your corner. Because I remember telling my best friend, and I was like, bro, I want my son to be able to cry in front of me. I want him to be able to showcase his emotions, tell me when something's wrong. I don't ever want him thinking that he's not a man because he's expressing feelings other than anger or success. And I remember my boy was like, well, bro, how you expect him to do something that his daddy don't do? And I just sort of gave him that side eye look like what? And we was on FaceTime, and he was just like, bro, you don't do this. Like, when it gets tough and you start saying you're gonna figure it out, you end up ducking off, you go ghost. We don't hear from you until things go back good. You don't let nobody in. Like, we don't ever know when, Trajuan is struggling, and that like really made me mad, because it's like, bro, first off, you're coming for me at a moment where you shouldn't be coming for me. But second, you're actually tapping on to something that I know is absolutely true, and it's not something that I really want to, explore. So I remember being like, all right, bro, I'll talk to you later. And I hung up on him. I don't think I talked to my dog like for maybe like 2 months after that, like to keep it 100. But I did go to therapy, and like, it was one of those things where I had to have that realistic moment. And now, I think I approach my son so much better than how I was approached, and how it was seen, or how you're supposed to be a man, or what man's supposed to look like and hold himself to. Because a lot of those things were conflicting for me, because I would hear my mother talk about how a man is supposed to be a provider, do this, do that, do these things, but you're doing everything that you told me a man is supposed to be doing. So obviously I'm learning by example. A woman can do these things like by herself. It may not be, easy. There might be a lot of nights that I caught you, crying in the room and stuff, but you've shown me by example that a woman can do these things. So it really opened up my head as a kid, like, well, I like, what can a man do that a woman really can't do? Because like, my mama has made it happen, bro. My mother has been my coach. My mother has been my rock when she didn't realize it. I've seen my mother steadily go effort after effort. I've seen my mother code switch. I've also seen her keep it a buck and go off on somebody. I've seen my mother whoop ass at a gas station because somebody called her out of her name. So I'm just like, you're telling me these things, but I'm seeing you do them. So I grew up thinking this is what a human is supposed to do, man or woman. This is what they're supposed to do. This is the expectation. So for me and my son, man, the parenting is personal, because it's just like, okay, what are some things that I saw from my mother, but what was also some things situations that put us sort of in a bind, and how can I make sure, one thing that it was for my son, I always tell him when he gets angry, hey, bro, breathe. Look at dad, breathe, let's talk about it. And, whatever I get out of them, sometimes I get, I don't know, or sometimes I get a full explained answer. Why you say that? Well, I heard you saying it to your friend and y'all laughed about it, so I thought it was okay. And I'm just like, dang, so do I pop him? Or because he's a sponge, like, what else am I supposed to expect? So being a father is about, for any fathers or aspiring dads, bro, it's about trial and error. It is about trial and error. I have learned that it doesn't matter how much money I spend, how many flights I catch. All he wants is my time. It doesn't matter. All he wants is my time. Like, that's all he requires from me. That's all he cares for. And it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling to feel, to feel needed in a sense, but also not only needed, but knowing that your decisions make a far greater impact than what, just you. So yeah, bro, fatherhood, man, it's amazing. It's amazing. And it's crazy that it's only year 4. It's crazy that it's only year 4.
You talking about it get me hype, bro. But the conversation you just that you just shared with me, particularly about gender roles and like what a man's supposed. I had just talked to my mom about this shit. And I think that's no dead ass, bro. But I think that's why, and we see it on fucking like TikTok and Twitter, and Instagram. Like, if you're not buying my flight, then you ain't got nothing time. You ain't buying whatever. But like, I've been explicit in saying I don't believe in like stereotypical gender roles.
Yeah.
But until you explain it the way you just explained it, that's when it hit me. It's like that's why. Because to your point, I seen Leslie go off. I seen it. She coached my basketball team. We didn't win any games, but shout out to Ma. He was a great coach. But like I've seen it. So I'm like, yo, like, why is it on me?
I've seen it all, bro.
But I want to stay on that for a second, right? And take it as a segment too, because I love education, particularly learning, because it can happen in different ways, different spaces, different orgs. And from my experience, you are one of the more, whether it's due to therapy, growth, fatherhood, one of the more healthy, masculine, omega men that I've ever met in my life.
You know what?
Hold on. Let me finish this thought though. And I think part of that is because D9, especially the fraternities, every fraternity has their own like stereotype that either we play into, like try to get in, or you play into because we don't know who we are, how to stand up for what we believe. But like literally speaking, bro, like you exhibit that and you showcase that with the world in your own way. But my question before we get into fraternity life, right, fatherhood, this impact scholarship, is why did you pledge or what made you interested in joining a fraternity, especially given that in most cases, right, people look at sport as community building, brotherhood, opportunity to do service. It's like, why pledge undergrad?
Yeah, so first off, and it sounds so just like typical, but I was around D9 members growing up through sports. Like, you know, a lot of my most critical moment was my uncles, Matthew Clark and Matt Ware. They played at UCLA in early 2000 to 2004, 99 to 2004. And I remember I was at a UCLA football camp. Mind you, my mother, she ran track at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. So all 5'1" of her, but don't tell just speed. I've been blessed to see some of her videos, like all that, and just be like, dang, like my mom was really, you know, and we talk about sacrifices. My mother, when she had me, she was training for the Olympics. And her coach pretty much told her, like, either you get rid and we go back to training, or you have this baby and you figure it out.
You said Olympics?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Atlanta then? Atlanta or wrong? It was Barcelona, 92.
No, I was born in 92, and I know she said she was in training.
Damn.
And I know that, like, she was like, yeah, it was no brainer. It was a no brainer. I was having a kid. You know, so like my mother's athletics, my mother's sacrifices, like a lot of those things, like me learning that at an early age without her telling me, and then me coming back and finding out, because she has 4 other sisters and a baby brother. But I've also seen how athletics has brought critical relationships and engagement, community engagement, when it comes to her as a parent, and how much her village like took care of me when she couldn't, you know, be there all the time because of work and demands. So the UCLA camp, I was messing up in school bad, bro, like to the point where I lost a whole project, a rock project, and didn't replace the rock project. So I got an F. And I remember it was a bad, like, I remember my mother came up to the school and she was just like, what the hell is you doing? Like, it's a rock project. I'll never forget. She was like, it's a rock project, bro. You could have literally picked up some more rocks, analyzed them, and then presented them. She was like, but you just don't get it because you don't care. And I just remember being in the backseat and hearing, because the infamous, and this is how I knew it was about to go down when I go home. The infamous, nah, Ari, because I worked too damn hard for him to be bringing piss poor grades. And I knew that those 3 flights of stairs up to the apartment, I already knew what song was going to come on that CD changer. And I knew it was to go down. And it was just like, well, dog, you could have replaced them rocks. Like, you literally.
Yeah.
Middle school, bro. But after that, she let me go to this UCLA football camp because she had already paid for it, and my uncle got us the discount. I was only allowed to do one day, and I was only allowed to do one day. because there was a coach there who was the running backs coach at the time by the name of Eric Bieniemy. And he knew my mother and they knew each other. He was at Colorado, so they used to always play that game. She was an athlete. He had homeboys that were bros, so he used to always come up to Nebraska, the mighty 8th district. So it's crazy because New Mexico is in the 8th district as well. So I ended up pledging and being in the 8th D as well while he's here. So it was an amazing moment. But I just remember like him pulling me to the side and was like, yeah, you look great in this camp. You're killing it. You know, you can't be this physical because you ain't got pads on, but I like your energy, you know? So he started talking to me about school and he was like, so how's your grades? And my mother, before I could even say anything, be honest.
Yeah.
I was honest. He pulled me out the camp. Like, this is a 3-day camp, bro. He pulled me out after day 1. Pulled me to the side, started talking to me about school. He started talking to me and he was like, man, what you need to realize is like, there's things more important than this. You got to realize that if you really want to get here, you might not like school, but you got to see it through. You got to figure it out. You got to make a way. And I'm hearing all these different things. And as a kid, I'm just like, okay, like, I guess, but I was always around it. There was always somebody, like, it was one of the most critical moments because this is literally a college coach telling me I'm not recruitable. I got talent, but I have no grades. And I knew what I was capable of. So when it came to that, high school, met more bros. When I was at Berkeley, you know, I played like, when I was at Berkeley, it was really critical. It was a real critical moment because a lot of the Black student athletes, specifically football players, really never went to Black events and they weren't pledging. They weren't doing anything. The only time we would go was parties. And I have no problem admitting that because it's all about growth and learning. And I just remember, bro, like one time being called out, like they was just like, yo, we just found nooses in our libraries across the UC systems. And we're trying to do a silent protest. Everybody wear all Black. Coach at the time got a wind of it and told us, brought all the Black athletes in and was like, hey, if I catch y'all here, y'all getting y'all scholarships taken. We will not be protesting. We will not be doing. And at 18, I'm just like, well, you know, boss man says we're not doing that. That's what we can't do. So my hands are tied. And, you know, I'm just like, man. And now I look back at it and I'm just like, bro was really, you know, putting us in a box and making us conform to ourselves. But it wasn't until some of my teammates actually started pledging. And I'm like, dang, so I'm seeing them balance. I'm seeing them being starters, but they're also pledging and they're not getting in trouble. Or at least I thought they weren't getting in trouble, but they're not getting in trouble in the public eye. And when I finally got to, you know, New Mexico, that was the only chapter, truthfully, that was doing a lot of community service. Like, had so many different community service events. And for me, I didn't need to pledge to, you know, get women to be at parties for validation. I'm a football player. And at this time, I'm a Black man in Albuquerque, New Mexico that plays football.
Talk about it.
I don't really need friends if we're keeping it a buck. And I didn't have to pay for this. It's just my talent, you know. But for me personally, I was just like, you know, I'm sort of tired of just being around football. I'm sort of tired of us getting in the same trouble, not being able to really be in a space, especially because I was just like, damn, I'm around football players in the same struggle, but I'm trying to ask them for advice on the same stuff they struggling just like me on. How they gonna be able to tell me anything else different? And if that's the case, why they ain't telling me earlier? So, you know, me seeing the bros and seeing them in so many different spaces and so many different lights in Mexico, I was like, oh yeah, I've been knowing I want to do this. And then I knew Eric Bieniemy was the bros at the time too. So I was like, oh, it's written. Like, this is what it's supposed to be. And then plus, I'm not gonna lie, they wasn't wearing suits. They wasn't looking all clean and everything. I'm seeing the shingling, the gold boots, the cut t-shirts. I'm like, well, shoot, that's how I dress like almost on a daily basis. You know, when I don't got to go to class, I was like, sign me up. Less clothing? Oh, man. Like, we in this thing. And man, that was like the best. That was the best part of it. Was just, it was something I grew around. It really embodied the community service that I was looking for. It really embodied the community that I was looking for, the relationships. And on top of that, like, I had so many guys around me, pro fights especially, that stayed on my ass. Like, I used to sit there, bro, and just be like, I could have swore I got an ace and a tray. Why y'all not on their tails like the way y'all on mine? Like Vassal is. I don't want to, nah. Like I just Robert rules of order. I don't want to do none of this, but it taught me so much, man. It taught me really how to navigate education, believe it or not. It taught me how to navigate administrators, relationships, and just across the board of just being more than just Trajuan, the football player. That's that. I really needed that at that time. I needed to be more than just this damn jersey.
Yeah, I wish more athletes were introduced and or decided to pledge D9. I know part of that is systemic and structural with head coaches and power and whatnot. But Amanda did a great job at this at UMass when she was there, but bringing, MPHC and athletics together. Because it's wide open, man. That's one of the reasons why I even got into this space, because I had athletes at South Carolina like, yo, Tim, how do I pledge AKA? Like, how I pledge? I want to do this. And like, I was, I'm a Sigma. So I'm like, yo, like, I can put you in contact with chapter president, you know what I mean? But it was definitely something that
Right.
is beneficial. And I think both have its positives, both have its challenges, but combined, I mean, you are really a well-rounded and unstoppable, undefeated human in this world.
Man, I try to be, bro. It don't be feeling like it at times. I be like,
come on, you know that already. You know that.
Bro, I'm getting my ass kicked right now. What Adrian Bonner said, man, I'm out here getting cooked. We're here on the struggle bus, but I'm learning, bro. Like I said before, it's about embracing that process, man. And I mean, at this point, take your pick on whatever process you want to talk about. But it's just like, you got to see it through. You got to make sure that you're keeping your head above water and that is not unbowed, and I think that's the biggest piece, man, of just everything that I've touched, everything that I've been through. I've tried my best to allow myself to feel every emotion with it, and really just take that in and understand myself so I can give myself some caution, some boundaries, but also know, okay, this is the time that you need to start pressing on the gas a little bit more to get to where you're truly trying to get. It's too much.
Yeah. I mean, that's EQ 101. It's free game. Anyone listening, like, feel everything, feel all of it, feel it, and then and respond to it as accordingly. But one of the emotions that you did feel, and I'm curious as to why, is you creating your scholarship.
Yes.
The Impact Scholarship. And you had put a tweet out, I couldn't find it, which is surprising, but couldn't find it, about like alumni engagement, right? With athletes giving back and former Black students giving back. And many people can do that in different ways, right? Whether that's volunteer roles, whether that's service, mentorship, whatever. But you literally took the institutional steps, navigated the institutional bureaucracy, either as much or as little there was at New Mexico, to start your own scholarship.
Yeah.
Why? Especially because, were you involved in anything with the African American Services Center?
So that's a big part of the why. It's a big part.
Okay. You talk to me then. Talk to me. Yeah, why?
I think one of the first things I remember was when I was at Berkeley, our baseball team got cut, along with some other sports, because of lack of funding. Okay. And I'll never forget hearing about it, knowing some of the baseball players. Mind you, one of my roommates played baseball and he played on the football team. And hearing about them getting cut and how guys were going to pretty much have to leave because they couldn't afford Berkeley and all this other stuff. And my mind at 17 was, well, it ain't me. It ain't football. And just went on with my day. And was just like, just cold about it. Just was like, well, it ain't football. So, sorry. Like, I wish the best for y'all. And like, I remember how that impacted them, because that was the year they went to the College World Series.
Same year?
Same year. Mind you, they're cut. They cut their budget. So boosters put up $5 million for the season. $5 million, just like that. And then you had to find more money, I believe, to get them to the College World Series. And then they had this Cinderella story to where they went all the way to Omaha and lost. So that was my first like peep of, damn, like, you just got $5 million just sitting around, like, just like that. Like, that's all it took, So that was my first time hearing and like listening and hearing, Sandy Barber and other folks talk about, the importance of alumni engagement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is what it does. This is the impact that alumni engagement has, that we were able, even though we cut this sport and some other sports, we still had one of the most historical finishes in Cal baseball history. It was on somebody else's dime, but athletics. So that's really what got my mind. Like, that was the first time I was just like, dang, I want to make money like that so I can give back and, you know, do things like this, because you never know who might be in need.
True.
So fast forward, when it came down to the pandemic, this was a time where I was already trying to think about how can I give back? What are effective ways? What can I do? I'll still never forget my first time to the beach was at 17 years old. And that was senior ditch day. Mind you, bro, I'm from California.
So you from LA? Yeah, you grew up in LA.
So the beach is only 30, 35 minutes. Just was never taken. Just never really went. Like, it just never had a field trip there. Never was taken from my community to the beach because it was so far. I was always told it was so far. Like, and I remember senior ditch day, you know, like every other senior ditch day, I was just really ducked off on sand. Like, I was just amazed that there was sand underneath my feet. There's all this body of water. Like, it was one of the most life-changing moments in my life, because I was just like, damn, this is right outside of my community. Literally, if I fight through the 405 traffic and all this stuff, it's right here. But all I got in my community, you know, we still there are tracks. Like, you know, we're still putting chalk around the tracks and stuff. The grass ain't even all that good. Like, we got divots and ain't nobody trying to take care of our stuff, you know? And it sort of angered me. But at the same time, it was just like this peaceful moment of just like, damn, like, okay, this is pretty cool. And I always from there started finding ways to sort of find an escape. But then it was just started hitting my mind of like, okay, what was there that something that I can do to give back? And I always had this assumption that I needed money. Like, it had to be my money. So when we started looking at the scholarship, I was writing it down. I was, you know, putting the idea together. Mind you, you know, I'll be real. I'm going through something right now where I'm trying to build my confidence and see value in me and see myself in a space that adds more. So it was really a lot of negative thoughts of like, ain't nobody gonna give money based off of who I am. Nobody's gonna get me off of that. It's a pandemic. People gonna probably look at me like I'm crazy. But in my head, I'm sitting here thinking about being an academic advisor and thinking about how I had to help kids find scholarships because their parents kicked them out because they came out to their parents, or, you know, they have an addiction, or there was something going on where it just wasn't the safest place for them and they needed housing, or they lived in their car or shelter, or they just needed something so they didn't have to get this job so that they can take this class. And seeing all these damn GPA requirements, what you had to be, who you had to be, the application deadline, like all these things, we sitting here going through scholarships. And I'm like, first off, this is piss poor marketing, because why is nobody showing us these scholarships? Why is nobody talking about these scholarships with our department? We're the psychology department in the College of Arts and Sciences. We have the biggest amount of students, and there's no programming that's letting these students know about these scholarships. And then you think you found a scholarship and it goes to, well, that one is no longer. So why is it on the website still? Why each time I click, it says page 404 not found? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So I got back into my emotions, started getting wild up about that. And then I started thinking about my institute, my alma mater, my institution, and how they used to always send, and UNM, if you ever hear this, I love y'all, but sending me an ebook called The Mirage and then follow that up with asking for a money donation is not relationship building. It is not helping. It does not make me want to give money, especially if my experience at the university was not that great. So what are we really trying to get here? You know, so it was just like, I would just see all these different things and it just started raising my curiosity. And then I hated that each time that I would talk to somebody about starting a scholarship, the biggest question I got, Tim, you play football though, right? Yes. And don't want to make it a donation towards scholarships for football? No, I don't. I understand there's students that may need that with the Olympic sports head counts and all that, but there are students that need that. Like $1,000 is really something that's going to be able to change. So going through all those thoughts and emotions, I still remember in April, I started writing it out. I started writing out what it needs to look like, what were the requirements, the essay, everything. And then I reached out to my homegirl, who I love her to death, Brandy Stone. She's the director over at African American Student Services, also a Zeta, Newtown, notorious Newtown chapter. And we started chopping it up. And she was just like, well, how about we figure this out together? So we got on a phone call with the UNM Foundation. I told them what I wanted to do. Of course, I got hit with the same question. Are you sure you don't want to do this with football? I said no, because if I did, they will be on the call with me. We have African American student services on the call. I want the scholarship to be ran through them. This is what this is what the criteria is. Can you do this? Back and and then it finally was, what's the scholarship's name? So I just had it as the Impact Scholarship. And I was hit with the, maybe you should put your name in it to not only have that, piece of ownership, but people actually might be more appealed or more interested in donating because they know whose name is in front of it. So I was just like, I guess, like, seeing my name ain't really going to, in my case, it really, like, we're here for this, the individuals making progress amongst our communities together. That's not enough, so put my name in front of it. And then it became the biggest question, how are we going to look for donations in a pandemic? And that's how I started the, 100 times 10 to get the $1,000 a semester. I just need 100 people to donate $10. That's all I'm asking, is just for $10. If you can donate more than 10, cool. If you can retweet, if you can share. But it was just me going every single day, and then adding the element of, well, why don't we do merchandise? Well, I don't got money to do merchandise, but Teespring is going to take a little cut, so we can do it through Teespring. It was just, once again, with all the different experiences that I've had of making something out of what started as nothing, it was, how do I use the resources that I have currently and build from there? And then as we're building from there, we'll figure out the rest of this. We'll get on top of this. We'll figure out how to make sure we're telling people, hey, see if your business or if your employee will do a matching contribution in all these things. And we started that April 2020. We've been able to give out 2 scholarships of $1,000. And that's been like the biggest part of it. I did it because I knew that I was reluctant to not have any debt in undergrad, or not having to pay for that, and always finding a way to get it paid for in my talents. But also, when I worked in advisement and when I worked with African American Student Services, I saw the other side and the reality of students and how much they're struggling. And just because they're not athletes doesn't mean that the world for them is just easy. Like, oh, you can just go to class and you can do this, or you got the lottery scholarship. Like, some of these cats either lost the lottery scholarship or they're out of state and they didn't get it. So that's why I was also intentional about making sure that it was an out-of-state scholarship. You need 20 hours of community service over the 2 semesters. And some people was like, well, how are they going to do that if they can just take the money and leave? We'll give you that $500 in the fall. You get some of your hours, make sure that you're showing your face around the African American Student Services, and then you get the rest of your money in the spring, and we've had no problem with that. And it's actually helped those students get to understand and learn more about D9, about community organizations, about service, about all these different spaces that you can get community hours in, even in a pandemic, safely. Programming, Black Cultural Conference, like two of my recipients have done so much community service with or outside of African American Student Services, but it's all connected because in New Mexico it's such a small Black community. So it was just making sure that it was purposeful. And then what we're going to do this year is everybody that's donated, I'm going to reach out to them and I'm going to send them a Zoom link. And it's pretty much, this student is going to present how this scholarship helps, who they are, what they're looking to do. And this is how they're looking to move forward with their career at UNM and further than that. And the reason why I wanted to do that was because you never know who's on these calls. Like, you never know who can say, oh, like, I'm a whole physical therapist here at Ochsner. let me reach out to this young lady because she's in exercise science and she wants to do PT or OT school. I donated to this scholarship. Let me reach out to this young woman or this young man. So it was really just about, okay, how do we keep moving forward? How do we keep the community in it? But then also, how do we have a scholarship from somebody that's alumni, and hopefully it starts and inspires other people to do the same thing. You ain't got to donate to my scholarship. Hell, make your own. Make your own scholarship if that's the case. And it was something that I thought was like impossible. And then when I really started embracing the process and not looking at the results and taking step by step, I was just like, bruh, this is doable. So at this point, I haven't really told many people, so I'll say it on here. We got about 4 more years to get $25,000. $25,000 to make it into an endowment. That way that's going to create more interest. It's going to bring in more so that we can move this beyond a scholarship and it's actually something that's stable funding and can help with African-American student services. Out of that $25,000, I think we're at $7K over the last 2 years. And that's after distributing $2,000 for a scholarship. So we getting there. It's going to be, I just had a call yesterday. So we about to do some reconstructing and moving some stuff around so that we can get some bigger donations. But man, we, as you say, we walking, bro. Like we taking it step by step and trying to make it happen because that's what it's all about. You know, that's what it's all about. I love my university. I love the kids. And I think I really started loving and appreciating my university when I became a grad student, and I got to do more outside of football. I got to explore more of those spaces. And that's what truly helped me understand and identify what I was truly passionate about.
Phenomenal work, bro, first and foremost, like for real. Because even you, as a matter of fact, I think I first came across your Twitter profile because of the scholarship. Like people are like retweeting it and liking it, whatever tweet it was, which is how I came across your page. But seeing your scholarship and even now hearing you talk about it, I want to start my own. I'm going to start my own.
Bro, please do.
I don't know what school because I don't like any of my undergrad. South Carolina, y'all, right? We're going to figure out where.
Hey, and I'll put it like this, bro. I'll put it like this because I've been UNM. I've only had the experience to only be UNM. But I had to understand how to separate the school from the actual people that I met. And for me personally, that's sort of how it was for me with education. Not a big fan of education, not a big fan of the system, the courses, the rigor, the systematic oppression with it, sometimes ignorance, all that. I'm not a fan of it. But what I am a fan of is when you find something, you find your people, you get your resources, you get these type of experiences, you get these type of moments. Oh, I'm gonna show this shit up. All
right, you making it.
I'm gonna get it up. So it makes that difference between, am I donating, am I doing this scholarship in the love of UNM and my university, or am I doing this because of the people that I know are coming after me? It's that, and that's why I looked at it as that bridge builder concept. That's why I say individuals making progress amongst our communities. No matter how much I like it or not, UNM is always within my social capital, whether I use it or not, because I went there and I had the advantage, I had the tools. I can go to career services at any time. But what it also helped me understand is, well, that means I also got all this access to these students. All I've done since I've been at UNM was have access to students. It was to a point where I even had office hours in the African-American Student Services when I was a psychology department advisor, because they were just like, A, some of the students couldn't find the psychology department. B, they didn't want to interact. I was two of like 30 something. No, I'm lying. 2 of like 100 something on staff in the psychology department that were Black. So it was very like, I ain't really trying to go over there. If I get lost, somebody gonna say, how can I help? All these different things. I was like, well, shoot, let me meet them where they at. Like, I'll come over there, just give me a room 2 days out of the week. I'll stay over there for 2.5 hours. My supervisor signed off on it. And this is how we're gonna make this impact over here, you know? So, bro, but I had that same thing, like, man, I don't want to donate to UNM. Like, what they do for me? Okay. And then, like, you know what, though? If I keep that mindset, this is the only time that I appreciate UPS. You know, what can Brown do for you? What can what can Trajuan do for y'all? How can I set the stage for y'all to understand y'all need to make these moments critical too? So, man, it really was for the students. It's really for the students. Like, I know sometimes I'll be sitting there saying FDK, and people be like, what does FDK mean? And I just be like, fuck them kids. But his picture, I love these kids. Like, I love these young men and young women. And that's the part of the scholarship that like really made me keep going, because I don't have no conversation with the UNM Foundation. Like, I go to Brandy and just be like, hey, where are we at? What can I improve on? Did this donor make this contribution because they DM'd me? What are we at? That's my only conversation with them, because like I said earlier, his poor marketing. You can't tell somebody or say that you're exposing people to something if you don't talk about it, if you don't showcase it. We're going to showcase it, even if it's on my individual page. Like, it's to a point now where I'm starting to think maybe I should make an individual page for it and start taking that social media piece bigger. But, you know, once again, it's me just trying to mentally prepare myself for the next step. So yeah, bro, trust me. I went through that when I first thought about starting a scholarship. Like, I'm really about to do something with UNM, dog.
Man, we're gonna talk about it, because I got 4 schools. That's 5 in my high school. I could choose from, the private high school, could choose from, but I'm like, maybe do I start my own shit? Just run through Walk with TFB. I don't know. We're gonna talk about this.
Come on, and I'm gonna put that. I know. But we'll chat offline about it, because she has something called the Black Mills program, where it helps people start scholarships at their university, and grant and funding, and Elsie Brown from Winthrop. So
she went to Maryland.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, bro. She was also used to me starting the scholarship too. Like, some of the stuff she exposed me and put me on, even though I started the scholarship beforehand. I was like, oh dang, let me go back and look at this again, just based off of our 30-minute conversations. So
she went to Maryland for her master's program. But segment 3, which is a perfect tie-in, which is how can we best support you in the Trajuan Briggs Community IMPACT Scholarship?
Yeah, man, I think the best way that y'all can support me is just, you know, teach me. Like, that's the biggest thing, whether it's about scholarships, whether it's about community, whether it's about education, whether it's about something that I tweeted, and, you know, I'm literally asking for more people to you know, explain it. Just teach me. Like, that's all I want. Like, I know this is gonna sound so dumb, bro, but you said we could say anything that we want on here. Don't worry. Today I was on the bus and we was getting back to New Orleans, and it randomly hit me, because my mind works so randomly. And if you look at my tweets, you can see that my mind works very random, and I don't really have, like, I keep it professional. I don't cuss, but I can get you with some zingers in there. But in my head, I was like, dang, when people take milk baths, do they use, and then I was like, do they use, like, you know, and I thought of the SpongeBob meme where he doing the hand like this. And I was just like, do they use, you know? And then, like, I was like, do they use 2% milk? Like, is people bathing in 2% milk when they do these milk bath pictures and they put their kids in these milk baths? Like, did we not grow from that? Like, are we not doing almond, oat milk, soy? And bro, I just started going down this whole path, and I was just like, hold on, let me bring it back. Let me put this tweet in the drafts before somebody
put that in the drafts.
Yeah, like, before somebody be like, yo, you good, bro? Like, what's going on? It's Saturday. I know you in New Orleans. What's going on? But I'm just like, I'm just curious. I'm just if it comes to my mind, I want to know. I want to know. And I think that has helped me learn so much more, like, just about myself, about folks, especially this is the first school I'm at with no football here at the University of New Orleans. So I work with predominantly our female student athletes. It's a different conversation than what I've had with the 17, 18-year-old young man. I have to take in feelings a little bit more. I have to take in how I approach. I have to take in, hey, I'm only going to take what you give me. And then I really want to know, please teach me, please help me understand, help me get through this. But I just love to be taught, man. I think that's the best way to support somebody, is always helping them understand that there's more to the picture, to the bigger picture. If I ever felt like I'm in a room that I can't learn in, I probably need to leave that room. You feel me? Because that's not where I need to be. Because I'm afraid of being content. The other thing is supporting the scholarship. You know, please donate your $10. I'm never gonna ask nobody for more than $10. Like, I'm going to keep asking somebody for $10. And I ain't gonna sit there and be like, man, come on, bro. It's just a funky ass 10. Like, no, bro, that 10 is gonna help. Like your little funky ass 10 is gonna help us make something bigger over time in the big picture. So it's really about, for me, man, at this point, when it comes to support, is teaching me and supporting others through what I got through my endeavors. You know, those are my two biggest things right now. And I feel like both of those things are doable. Like I'm never gonna ask for much. I'm never gonna ask for much, which I don't think none of your listeners have. Like everybody has doable things when you ask that question. But just teach me, because I'm here to learn.
And I'll include a link to your scholarship as well for those who choose to give. It'll be in the description to this podcast episode for us to give. But before we bounce, you know these quick hitters are coming. Mm-hmm. Your favorite sports memory?
Oh man, my favorite sports memory. So I really thought about this one recently. I think my favorite sports memory was when I took third place in the 200. And it was awkward because I'm running, and then DeAnthony Thomas, who Oregon, legend, went to Oregon, younger than me. So I think I was in like lane 6. Or no. I was in lane 7. Bro was in lane 6. And then there was another cat by the name of Tevin Carter who was in lane 5. And you know, when you come off that curve, hit you in the back, and then you really see where you're at. You know, so I remember just seeing these two dudes just inside of me, just like moving, and they going neck to neck. And I remember running. I'm just like, damn, like Tevin really about to get this fool and everything. And then in an instant moment, I was like, wait, dog, you're still running this. Like, I was like, you gotta go. So I ended up taking third place, making it to the state meet, purposely scratched. I will admit that now, after so many years, I purposely scratched because I was just like, we still got a whole 4x4, bro. I'm not about to get embarrassed tonight. Like, we're gonna 200. I'm just gonna stick in the 4x4. But oddly enough, out of all the things that I've accomplished in my sport, that has to be the top tier moment, because the commentating in my head at that time, like I remember just being like, damn, like they really going. Oh my gosh, everything. And I had just that moment of like, hold on, bro, like you still running too. So yes, that was by far my top one. And I know that sounds so horrible, but that was a good ass race. I don't care what nobody say.
That ain't horrible. And Anthony Thomas, he was fast as hell.
Bro, what?
Yeah, that's a fast dude. Top 5 artists, no rank, just top 5.
Oh, okay, so you already know I ain't heard one Bad Blast song. So that's right up there. I ain't gonna say number 1 or whatever, but Blast is for sure somebody right now that I'm just like, yeah. Like every time I hear that, sheesh, I'm like, oh yeah, here we
go. He can go.
So that's one. I would say, this is gonna sound, Ashanti.
Okay.
Is in my top 5.
Ashanti, Blast.
Pure Assassin is in my top 5 because, and I'll give it to her and Monica. Monica's, like, for some reason, So Gone is like,
wow, this is good. Okay.
Like the hood anthem for me.
Okay. So Gone. Monica, Ashanti, Blast. This is an interesting list.
Those are. I got 2 more. I would say Nip. I actually did a dedication to him in my thesis, because there was so many times, honestly, me and my son fell asleep to Blue Laces.
Yeah.
Like when I had to put him to sleep and start working on my thesis, Blue Laces was on softly in the background. I don't know what it was, but it like made Isaiah fall asleep on repeat. Wow. And I just kept playing that song like throughout the whole process, throughout the whole time. Like The Marathon Continues is something that I really, I live with. And then the 5th one is Nas. So a lot of people don't know, my son's name is Isaiah Nazir Briggs. And, the Nazir part really, really does come from, a part of it is because of, being my helper, being my support, all those things that it means in Hebrew. But then also Nasir Jones, like Illmatic, like all that Ether. Like my mother played Nas, and she was the one that really showed me the art of storytelling.
Yeah.
My mom was one of the types that's just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear all that. Like I grew up in a house that was really big on Nas, Foxy Brown, Lil Kim, Biggie, and then my mom for some reason always played Betty Wright's "Tonight Is the Night." So it was always those stories. Like I always heard storytelling in the music that my mother chose. So if she ever was like, "Okay, you could play some music," I knew that it couldn't be just some BS.
Bullshit. Nah.
So those are my five, but those are my top five.
Yeah, your mom needed to meet my mom and vice versa. Because my mom put me on Jay-Z.
Oh yeah.
And Tupac.
Blueprint. My mom got ready. She had the 25 CD disc changers.
Bro,
so
yes, bro. Like
she had Usher 8701. Like
I still got my mama's 8701 CD, Confession CD. And I think I got Blueprint too. The hard copy.
Your mama loves you. She won't let me get none of the tape.
No. She didn't give that to me.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? She gonna hear this podcast, so I'll see over winter break. Yeah, I just got it.
Yeah, mom's my bad. Hey, what Shannon Sharp said? Ain't no problem.
Nah, yeah, she did not get them. Second to last question. If you could go to brunch, you plus 5 people, who you bringing?
Ooh. You know what, man? I'm gonna have fun with this one because I've heard some different ones, and I was like, man, I want some people that I really like want to be able to talk shit with. So you first.
That'd be funny. All right,
my guy. Just know when we link up. The audacity. It's gonna be a great time. So my dog Tim is in there. Hey, past security. Hey, he's good. He's here.
I appreciate that, yo.
Get him a waffle, all the strawberry, whatever he wants on that thing. That's my guy. Put it on my tab. So you number one. You number one. I would have to say number 2. It's gonna have to be Khalees. It's gonna have to be Khalees. And I want to say Khalees because Milkshake was a banger, but then me seeing her now and her turnover with just like farming and natural products and all these things that she be doing on her Instagram, like growing all vegetable, like her piece and everything. I'm just like, bro, her energy is just so dope, like all this stuff. And she's still so beautiful to me. But I'm just like, yeah, Khalees definitely has to be there because the agriculture in her, like she'll make sure, hey, I got some extra peppers over here if you want to put in the shrimp and grits. Like we time with it. So she's definitely in there. I will have to say number 3. Ooh. This is tough. I'll probably say number 3 is going to be, dang, do I like him enough to have him there? I will have to say number 3 will have to be early 2000s Ray Lewis.
This is interesting. Okay, that's been good. So Ray Lewis, Khalees, myself. Okay.
Bring energy. He's the person that, if you remember Ray Lewis's pregame speeches, that's going to be the pregame speech for the pregame, for the turn up. Like
interesting brunch. Okay.
Brunch, but
Ray Lewis.
Role.
Hold on. So Ray Lewis, Khalees, myself, and you got 2 more people, including you. Well, outside of you.
Oh snap! I thought I only had 1 more. So 2 more people outside of me.
Yeah.
I would have to say the second person is my great grandmother, Miss Irene George. Just because, once again, I think that was the connection for Khalees too. I grew up like helping my grandmother plant, get her collard greens. She used to send me to the store to go grab her PBRs and slide me the $10 and stuff. And folks used to be, oh, you Miss George's grandson? Yeah, here you go. Like, and let her know, if she wants some crab legs next week, we're gonna get a new shipment in, because that's the gumbo queen right there. Like my great grandmother, she's from the Caribbeans, but when I was old enough to drink, I'll put it this way. I was old enough to drink, and I had my first drink with my great grandmother, and I ended up having to sleep in the living room because she gave me some brandy that, you know, I was
Okay.
like, I ain't a big dog. And I'm sitting over here looking at her on glass too. And she was like, yeah, baby, this is what I be putting in the eggnog. And I'd be like, oh, you are a criminal. This is not like you, man. So Miss Irene George is definitely pulling up because she's gonna be a good time. She's gonna make sure everybody's good, taken care of, and she might have a little bit of brandy or something in the Duffy. So, she definitely gonna be there. And I'll have to say, number five, bro, to be honest, because I like people. I don't like people that much, but I like people. So number five would probably have to be somebody that like one of y'all probably brought. Like y'all hit me with the, bro, is it cool if, my partner come or, my homegirl, they cool. So number five is really like me trusting y'all and y'all good vibes to bring that fifth person on. I can only give you that strong four, and then, protection through association. I'm gonna trust that the fifth one is going to be able to contribute to this brunch as well. So yeah.
No, respect. Well, you already know the last question, bro. Who you want to see on the pod? Who's taking a walk with us next?
Dang, man. Who do I want to see on the pod, bro? There's so many different people. And I just feel like through all the people that you've explored, you've put me onto, like, this podcast has put me onto so many other different people in so many different spaces where I was just like, dang, like.
Wait till next season, bro. It had to be.
Right. Yeah. You're gonna be getting more voice messages from me about it.
Wait till.
I'm trying to think, who do I want on the pod? And I'm mad because the time that I was ready to be asked this question, you had him on the pod, Dr. Willis. So I was just like, God dang, like that was the one person, and then you hit me with the surprise. So I was just, dang, who else could it be? I will probably say, keep it a buck, Chelsea. I want to hear Chelsea Brown on the podcast, because Chels, man, the way we met and the relationships is so dope. And I'll just say this one thing: because of the Community Impact Scholarship, because of meeting Chelsea at the time that I met her, we were able to get a kid that she was teaching at a high school to the University of New Mexico.
Wow.
Like, he literally told Chelsea, I want to go to the University of New Mexico and I want to play football. And she was like, I know somebody at New Mexico. And he was like, no, you don't. She's like, the Lobos? And he was like, yeah.
Wow.
He reached out to me, and me and this young man, like, we chop it up. We did his summer bridge application together. He took his visit, like, through and through. So that's why I'm also very passionate about alumni engagement, because it's like, I don't live in DC. I don't live in Maryland. I don't live in New Mexico either. But just because she knew that I went there and the way I represent the university, she trusted her own student, to put me in contact with this kid. And we made it work, and I believe he's going into his freshman year now at UNM. So Chelsea is definitely the person that I would love to hear on this call, on this podcast, because she's doing so many amazing different things. And then especially with the Black Greek Fest, like, I was just, she's killing it. But that's the person I would love to hear from, because she has such an exciting story, and just the way that she's navigating through it all. I'm just like, yeah, that's something that people need to hear. They need to hear more stories like this.
Chelsea, we coming. She around the corner too. So the Chelsea, we coming. Trajuan, hit her up. Before we go, man, any last words you want to share with the people?
I think my last words and everything that I end off with, bro, is just win with integrity. It's sometimes it's toughest. And sometimes doing the best thing ain't always the right thing. Like, and it's hard to sometimes decipher that. But just win with integrity, be true, stay on the course, and understand that there's going to be days that it knocks you off course, but that's why you get up. That's why you get up, and hopefully you got them guarding rails there, wherever your faith is, wherever you believe your beliefs, and you just keep pushing, bro. Just keep pushing, bros and sisters, all y'all. Just keep pushing, win with integrity, and just keep being blessed, man. And keep walking with this brother here. Keep walking with my dog over here, man, because it's helpful. It really is inspiring.
I appreciate that, homie. I appreciate that. Well, I gotta say this. I told you there's other shit that I found. Good stuff at that. but it's now what, December 11, 2021. You published this at least December 17, 2018. This could come from Facebook, come from Twitter, not playing. But on your Medium page, you said confidence. Go out there and live out your purpose. Don't feel like you're doing too much, but instead figure out how to make everything come together. It's okay to dream, but it's even better if you act upon them. Confidence. Keep dreaming, bro.
Damn.
Keep dreaming, TB.
Hey, man, cut this before you get me emotional, bro.
Keep dreaming, bro. 3 years ago, man. Everyone else, but before I let my man cry on the pod, you're first. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode. Look forward to having more unfiltered conversation with authentic educators throughout the rest of the season. But as always, walk with me.